Imagine for a moment that every thought you send out is a seed, a tiny spark of divine energy traveling through the universe and always returning to you multiplied. That is the invisible law Joseph Murphy called the mental tithe, the sacred principle of the infinite return. It is not about money nor about sacrifice. It is about an elevated consciousness, a deep understanding that whatever you give with your mind, your heart, and your words inevitably returns to you, amplified by the same force that moves the stars. In this text, you will discover how to awaken that power, how to turn your thoughts into channels of abundance, your emotions into instruments of creation, and your faith into the key that unlocks every door of good imaginable. Prepare for a spiritual journey into the divine mind, an experience where each word reminds you that you are the source of your own miracles. Because when you learn to tithe mentally, to offer the universe only the best of yourself, the entire universe conspires to return it to you multiplied. Welcome to Mental Tithe, the law of infinite return. Your journey toward a life of purpose, fulfillment, and limitless blessings begins now. Pause for a moment, reader, and ask yourself how you got here. Who planted in your heart the desire for something more, for a life that is fuller, freer, more prosperous? Perhaps you were taught as a child that money is scarce, that time is never enough, that talent is a privilege of the few. Perhaps, like so many, you have lived under the shadow of sterile ideas about home and receiving, the fear of loss, the guilt of having, the doubt of deserving. But today, as you open these pages, I invite you to leave behind that old harvest of limitation and open your heart to a higher revelation. Everything you have is first received in the mind. At the root of every fortune and every lack lies the same invisible principle. The mind is field and seed. It is soil and harvest. It is the origin and destination of all good. There is no lasting wealth, no true health, no stable joy that does not arise from an inner sowing. The scriptures knew this and proclaimed it in parables. A sower went out to sow. Some seeds fell by the path, some on rocky ground, some on good soil, and bore 100-fold. Isn't your mind that field? Aren't you every day the sower of ideas, words, and deeds that you later reap multiplied? Let me tell you the story of a man who, after years of scarcity, discovered that the key was not in working harder or struggling against the world, but in daily planting thoughts of abundance and gratitude. A few months of practice were enough for his business to flourish, his relationships to improve, and his health to renew. Another woman, burdened by debt and worries, learned to dedicate 1/10 of her time each morning to bless her day, visualize solutions, and give thanks for the invisible. She soon saw doors open, unexpected help arrive, and new sources of income appear. Most people still wait for external signs before they believe, but the wise of all ages have known that the supreme act of faith is to sow in the mind the seed of total wealth before seeing the fruit. Are you willing to make this sowing, or do you prefer to keep harvesting doubt, worry, fear of loss, and the false belief that there isn't enough for everyone? The law of circulation of good is perfect, but it only responds to those who dare to take the inner step, to set aside and dedicate a portion of their mental resources, time, energy, and money, not out of obligation but in faith in the law of return. And I invite you, before moving forward, to write your intention as you begin this book. Not a list of material desires, but a declaration of sowing. Today I set aside and dedicate a part of my mind to faith, circulation, gratitude, and abundance. I open myself to receive what the universal law has for me. I leave behind mental scarcity. I plant wealth in thought, word, and action, and I receive it multiplied in all areas of my life. This is how true transformation begins. Choose to sow wisely and prepare for a harvest that will exceed anything you have imagined. The sowing of the mental tithe, based on Joseph Murphy. We have noticed that over 80% of those who visit our channel are not subscribed. You can support this project by pressing the subscribe button and giving the video a like. Thank you for inspiring us to continue creating more and better content for you. Are you ready to transform your life? Chapter 1. The Mental Tithe, Its Origin and Hidden Power. Close the book for a few seconds, silence the external voices, and listen to this inner call. Life has been waiting for you. It doesn't matter how much you've read, how much you've been preached to, or even how much you have given materially if your mind is still dominated by fear, scarcity, or doubt. For there are those who give but do not sow, There are those who sow but do not expect a harvest, and there are those who only watch and ask why the miracle never comes to them. Today you are going to discover the hidden principle that can turn every ordinary day into the beginning of an unstoppable harvest. Allow me to speak not as a theorist or as a preacher of dogmas, but as someone who has seen, heard, and experienced firsthand, and in the lives of thousands of men and women, how the law of the mental tithe breaks invisible chains, opens doors, heals bodies, and transforms entire families. The mental tithe is older than the pyramids and more modern than quantum physics. It does not depend on religion, country, or social position. It is a universal law operating just like the law of gravity. It functions always, even if you ignore it, deny it, or forget it. The mental tithe consists of consciously setting aside 1/10 of your thoughts, your time, your energy, your money, and your gifts and talents, dedicating them to elevated ideas and to the service of good. And think about it carefully. Everything you have was first received in the mind. Every coin that has come into your hands, every relationship, every success or failure, was first a seed in your inner field. Just as the farmer does not expect a harvest if he has not sown, neither can you expect prosperity if you do not deliberately sow thoughts and actions of abundance. Many are confused because they believe the tithe is only money. How many people have I known who give a bill on Sunday, yet spend the rest of the week sowing fear, criticism, resentment, or laziness in their minds? How could they harvest anything other than what they have sown? Life does not reward the external act, but the internal intention. I once met a woman in Los Angeles, mother of 4 children, widowed, with no steady job, who wrote to me saying, "I can't tithe. I barely have enough to eat." I replied, "Start today by tithing mentally. Stand for 10 minutes each day to bless your children, to visualize your table full, your home at peace, your children healthy and happy. Set aside 10 thoughts daily to give thanks for whatever little or much you have. And if one day you can, set aside 10 cents from each dollar and give them to someone you believe needs it most. But always do so with joy and faith." 3 months later, I received another letter. She wrote, "Doctor, miracles have happened in my home. My eldest son got a job, my youngest stopped falling ill, and never again was there a lack of bread on the table. Now I tithe without fear because I know the source is inexhaustible." What changed? Her mental attitude. Her tithe was first an invisible sowing. The visible results came afterward. Have you noticed that everything in nature responds to cycles and circulation? Rain falls, fertilizes the soil. The river carries it to the sea, the sun evaporates it, and the cycle begins again. The heart takes blood, sends it to every cell, collects it, and purifies it. When blood stagnates, life is in danger. The same happens with your wealth. If you withhold it, it stagnates and disappears. If you put it into circulation, it returns multiplied. I have met business people who had everything, and suddenly, out of fear of losing, began hoarding, cutting salaries, withholding information or help. Soon their companies declined, their health failed, and joy left their homes. One day, one of them asked me, "Why, Dr. Murphy, why did our success vanish?" I replied, "The source dries up when you deny the flow. You must put your good back into circulation. Set aside your mental tithe, share ideas, help your employees, give thanks for every client. Life rewards the channel, not the reservoir." And do not be mistaken, modern science confirms this principle. Physicists teach that energy is never lost, only transformed. The warmth of your hand becomes electrical energy when touching an object. A kind word creates waves that travel farther than you imagine. Why then do you fear giving? Money is nothing more than energy in circulation. It is like the lifeblood of the economy. It must flow. If you think, "If I give, I will have nothing left," you have already cut the cycle. The person who sows fear harvests scarcity, but the one who opens doors with faith reaps abundance. Let me tell you about a young student who came to me with depression. He felt useless, lost, unmotivated. I asked, "How do you spend your time?" He answered, "Worrying, lamenting, losing hours in front of the television." I taught him to set aside just 1/10 of his time to serve, to help a neighbor, read to a child, or write letters of gratitude. At first he did it out of obligation, but soon he noticed that by serving, his mind cleared, and new ideas and opportunities appeared. In less than 6 months, That discouraged young man was invited to work at a foundation. He received a scholarship and wrote to me, "Life has opened up to me. Now I understand. My time is seed. The mental tithe returned my joy, and it is not magic, it is law. The same law that operates when you plant a seed in the soil, trusting that nature will do the rest. The difference between those who prosper and those who fail lies in the attitude with which they sow. If you tithe with fear, thinking, I better give, or something bad might happen, the law responds with scarcity. If you sow with joy, knowing you are a channel and not a reservoir, life multiplies what you give. Ask yourself today, in what area of your life are you withholding? Out of fear. Who are you reluctant to give time, affection, or help to? What thoughts do you sow in the first hour of the day? Are your words to your children, your spouse, or co-workers seeds of faith, gratitude, and service, or seeds of complaint and fear? Many think they cannot give because they have nothing left over. The truth is that no one can harvest before sowing. Right now, today I sow my mental tithe. Set aside 10 minutes to give thanks for what you have. Dedicate 1/10 of your time to serve without expecting anything in return. Give the best part of your mind to imagining solutions, not problems. If you can, give 1/10 of your income, however small, but do so with faith. Every thought of gratitude is a seed. Every word of encouragement is an offering. Every act of service is an invisible watering of your inner field. I have seen beggars become benefactors, bankrupt entrepreneurs build empires, desperate mothers see their children succeed, all simply by understanding and practicing the mental tithe. Do you remember the biblical promise? Test me now in this, and I will open the windows of heaven and pour out blessings until there is no more need. It is not poetry, it is mental science. The subconscious responds exactly to the quality of your sowing. A man once told me after listening on the radio, "Doctor, all my life I feared losing the little I had. I didn't share my knowledge with my peers. I thought they would take my job. I lived stuck." He continued, "I decided to follow your advice. I dedicated 1 hour each day to helping others, to teaching what I knew. In less than a year, I was promoted twice. Recognition came from where I least expected it. What I once feared losing returned multiplied. And it always happens this way. The mind is a fertile field, but only what is sown with faith will germinate. Decide today. Be a channel of good, not a reservoir of fear. The mental tithe is the simplest and most powerful practice you can incorporate. It requires no painful sacrifices, only the determination to set aside the best of yourself for the circulation of good. Repeat after me aloud now. Today I sow my mental tithe. I dedicate the best part of my thoughts, my time, and my resources to good, knowing that the universe responds in kind, multiplying my sowing. I trust, I give, I receive. So it is, and so it shall be. Remember, what you give with faith returns to you in health, peace, opportunities, new relationships, and unexpected solutions. Your subconscious, the faithful worker of the law, multiplies every seed and brings the harvest at its perfect time. Try it. Do it today. Do it always. Fear not giving. Fear not sowing your mental tithe. The law is on your side. Abundance has already begun to flow toward you. Chapter 2. Time, talent, and treasure, the 3 seeds of the mental tithe. If you have understood the first principle, today your life can begin to change at its roots. Let me tell you a clear truth. It is not enough to give money to activate the law of return. Some excuse themselves by saying, "I have no money to tithe." And with that excuse, they deprive themselves of the stream of blessings life has prepared for them. But the law is wider, more generous, and deeper than your limited mind can imagine. The true mental tithe encompasses 3 dimensions that every person possesses: time, talent, and treasure. These are the 3 seeds of total harvest. In my experience as a counselor and teacher, I have seen thousands transform their lives simply by changing the way they give. Some, out of fear, believe that only money can multiply, and that if they cannot tithe it, all is lost. They are mistaken. Your entire life is a field in which to sow. He who plants only 1 seed will harvest only part of the crop. I will show you the exact way to tithe in each area and warn you against the subtle deceptions of the mind. Listen carefully, for this is one of the best-kept secrets of lasting success. First, time. How does one tithe time? You do not need to spend hours meditating if your daily life prevents it. Minutes of quality, intentionally set aside, are enough. Moments in which your mind and heart focus on good, gratitude, and blessing others. I have advised business people to stand for 10 minutes each morning and pray for their employees, their clients, and the prosperity of everyone they touch. I have asked mothers to dedicate time to mentally embrace their children, to visualize their bright future, to declare aloud, "Life blesses you. All is well for you." I have seen young students multiply their academic performance, not by studying longer hours, but by dedicating 1/10 of their time to helping others understand, serving without expecting anything in return, sharing notes and being generous with their attention. Once a teacher approached me with a tired face, marked by years of conflicts at home and in the classroom. "I have no money to give, doctor. I barely make ends meet," she said. I replied, "Can you set aside 10% of your day to bless your students in your thoughts? Can you take 10 minutes before sleeping to imagine your children and spouse in peace, harmony, and health? Can you uplift yourself with words of encouragement?" She hesitated, but accepted the challenge. She wrote in a notebook, "Today I tithe my time. I set it aside to sow blessing in my home and school." It was not long before she noticed that arguments at home became less frequent. Her children sought her company and shared their dreams, and conflicts in the classroom decreased. Even a previously problematic student began to transform. "What did I do?" she asked. I replied, "You sowed time in peace, and life responded by multiplying that peace. Time is the most valuable currency you have. Set aside 1/10 and dedicate it to elevating the mind, serving, and blessing. Do it joyfully, without forcing it, and you will witness miracles where before you saw only routine and fatigue." The second field is talent. Everyone, absolutely everyone, possesses a gift, a skill, or knowledge that can be put to the service of good. Talent is the invisible seed of prosperity. Have you fallen into the trap of thinking your gift is unimportant? Have you underestimated your ability to listen, organize, console, teach, motivate, cook, clean, write, or build? Many believe talent is valuable only if it can be sold, only if it has a market price. But the law of the mental tithe does not ask about prices. It asks about intentions. I know a man who could repair antique radios. In his neighborhood, no one could pay him much, so he began giving his talent to those in need. Within 2 years, a technology company, aware of his skill and his selfless acts, offered him a position with a salary higher than he had earned in 20 years. "How was that possible?" he asked. I replied, "Talent that you put into circulation returns in ways and times your reason cannot predict. There are those who give money but hoard their talent out of jealousy, fear of competition, or simple laziness. There are those who say, 'If they pay me, then I give my best.' Life responds to the charity of your sowing, not the size of your paycheck. If you give your best only when a reward is guaranteed, your sowing is sterile. Talent must be tithed generously, with the heart of a sower who knows that every seed hides its own miracle. Pause a moment and ask yourself, what gift do I have, however small, that I can put today at the service of others even if no one pays or applauds? The first step is to recognize your talent. The second is to consecrate it. I suggest a brief daily prayer. Today I consecrate my talent. I set it aside and put it into circulation in service of good. I know it returns multiplied in unexpected ways. The third field is treasure. Here many hesitate, for money has been loaded with myths, guilt, and twisted beliefs about value, sacrifice, and scarcity. Money is neither dirty nor evil, nor virtuous in itself. It is energy, and energy always seeks to circulate. A bill hoarded in fear is like water in a closed well. It eventually evaporates. A bill put into circulation with gratitude and joy becomes a source of new blessings. Many give money, but they do it from guilt or obligation, not from joy and faith. That kind of giving is sterile because the subconscious mind responds not to the amount, but to the feeling that accompanies the act. I've seen people tithe their treasure only when witnesses are present, waiting for recognition. Others give expecting favors in return or out of fear of divine punishment. All of that is false generosity. The true mental tithe is given from certainty. What you put into circulation returns to you multiplied, always in visible or invisible forms, because the law never fails. Do you wonder why sometimes you give and do not receive? Check your intention. Do you give expecting immediate compensation? Do you give with resentment, thinking no one appreciates it? Do you give with the secret fear that you will lose the little you have? The law of life is clear. What you sow in fear returns in scarcity. What you sow in faith and joy returns in abundance. Pause and reflect on this day. Have you set aside 1/10 of your time to bless others? Have you put any skill, idea, or concrete help into circulation? Have you shared a portion of your material resources with joy, even if it was a simple act of generosity? If not, start today. Keep a small journal where you record each daily seed. Today I spent time praying for someone. Today I helped someone with my knowledge. Today I gave a coin, a book, advice, a smile. Do not underestimate the power of the small. A simple gesture, 10 minutes of your time, a word of encouragement, can be the beginning of a chain reaction of blessings. I have known men rich in money but poor in time, poor in shared talent, poor in joy. I have seen others humble in material resources but generous in time and talent. Life responds by opening doors, multiplying friendships, healing relationships, and bringing opportunities where it seemed impossible. Just as the farmer sows multiple seeds to secure the harvest, so must you sow in all your areas. Time, talent, and treasure are the 3 fields that life gives you to multiply. Never say, "I have nothing to give." As long as you have minutes in your day, you have a fortune to offer. As long as you have a skill, even just the ability to listen, you have a gift to put into circulation. As long as you have a penny, you have a seed to plant. At the end of this chapter, repeat quietly or aloud, but with faith. Today I set aside and consecrate 1/10 of my time, my talent, and my treasure. I sow these seeds in the field of good. I know life will return to me multiplied. I do not fear giving because I trust in invisible abundance. Keep a daily record like a farmer noting rains and sowings in a notebook. Today I sowed my time. Today I sowed my talent. Today I sowed my treasure. Do not do it out of obligation, but like someone counting seeds, knowing that each one is a promise of a harvest. The law never fails. What you give in any area returns multiplied. Test it, and life will respond with results, not promises. This is how multiplication begins in your life. This is how the limitless harvest begins. Chapter 3. The Planting Plan, the daily ritual that transforms life. Many men and women search for miraculous solutions, shortcuts, and promises of results without commitment, not understanding that the law of return responds only to the daily, structured, and faithful habit of mental sowing. Just as a field does not respond to the whims of a careless farmer, or the caprice of one who sows whenever and wherever they wish, your life will not bear a harvest unless you establish a planting plan, a daily ritual, a sacred order. Today I invite you to know and apply the power of the secret act. You have read the biblical command, but when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Matthew 6:6. Beyond the dogma, these words contain the exact method of the miracle. Every power that originates in the invisible eventually manifests in the visible. It is not external noise, ostentation, or public acts that move the law, but fidelity to the inner act, the ritual performed when no one is watching, when only life and your conscience are witnesses. Many ask, at what time should I pray, meditate, or visualize my harvest? What is the right place? Are there special rituals that guarantee results? The answer is simple and powerful. Choose the time and space where you can be alone with yourself, without distractions, without interruptions, without the judgment of others. It does not matter if it is the first hour of the day, the last minute of the night, or the quiet moment in the middle of work. What matters is charity, intention, and regularity. I have known men who transform their lives by rising just a few minutes before the rest of their household and using that time to record their planting plan, visualize the desired good, and give thanks in advance for the invisible harvest. I have seen women preserve the moment when the family sleeps, and in that silence sow words of blessing, thoughts of peace, and images of abundance, and soon see their homes renewed like a garden after rain. Do not look for special places. Your inner altar can be a corner of your room, a seat on the bus, a bench in the park, or even the secret refuge of your mind when you close your eyes and turn away from outside voices. Just as the farmer examines his field before sowing, prepares the soil, removes the stones, and visualizes the future harvest, so must you prepare your mind each day. Close your eyes and declare, here and now, this moment is sacred. Here I plant my thought. Here I consecrate my time, my talent, my treasure. Here I see with the eyes of faith my harvest already realized. Anticipatory visualization is the key that activates the law. The subconscious mind responds to images, not empty words or fearful requests. When you visualize your harvest before sowing, when you feel gratitude as if the miracle were already in your hands, you are moving invisible forces, attracting into your life what you have decided to harvest. I have taught business people to imagine the contract signed before making the proposal, mothers to see their children at peace before asking for the miracle, employees to envision the promotion before the interview, and all have verified that life responds to the strongest and most constant inner image. Let me illustrate with the parable of the farmer and the infertile land. A man, tired of seeing his fields dry, approached a wise man and asked for a formula for success. The wise man asked, "How do you prepare the soil?" "I scatter the seed at random, hoping something will grow," the man replied. The wise man said, "Prepare the soil first, remove the stones, visualize a green and abundant field, sow carefully every day without fail, water the seed with gratitude, only then will the land respond." The man followed the advice, and in the next harvest, abundance arrived where there had once been only frustration. So is your mind. Sow randomly and you will reap random results. Sow with method, intention, and gratitude, and the harvest is inevitable. One of the greatest secrets I can reveal today is this: what you record exists. Many spend their lives dreaming, hoping, and wishing, but they never note, never fix their sowings in writing. A desire that is not recorded is like a seed thrown to the wind. I urge you to keep a notebook, a journal, or a blank sheet where each day you write your planting plan. You do not need elaborate words. Write simply, "Today I set aside this time to pray, meditate, and visualize my harvest. Today I consecrate my talent to this service. Today I give this portion of my treasure, knowing that good circulates and returns." This written record is the subconscious signal that you are serious, that you have set the law in motion, that you already see the harvest before collecting it. I have known men who, after years of frustration, began recording their daily sowings, and like opening a floodgate, prosperity, health, and opportunities began to flow with renewed strength. I propose a simple weekly planting plan. Choose a fixed time and place, even if just 10 minutes daily. Keep a notebook or journal to record your sowings. Before sowing, visualize with the eyes of faith your harvest. Feel gratitude, relief, and joy as if it has already been fulfilled. Write down what you sow each day: time dedicated, talent shared, treasure circulated. At the end of each week, review your record and give thanks aloud for all the good received, visible or invisible. Do this not as a routine, but as one enters a sanctuary, confident that life has already responded. Do not fear the days when the sowing seems small or invisible. Every seed counts. Every sincere act is recorded in the book of life. Remember, open reward is inevitable for those faithful to the secret act. Do not worry about applause or recognition. The law never forgets. The law never delays. The miracle, when it comes, will be visible to all. But the sowing, the transformation, the decision happen only at your inner altar. And just as the farmer returns each season to sow, so must you return every day to your plan, your ritual, your notebook. Do not be discouraged by barren days. Every season has its time. Persist in the habit, and you will see with your own eyes that the harvest always surpasses the seed, that reward comes when least expected, and that life is generous to those who structure their faith, their time, and their giving. Make your first record today. Set aside your hour, bless your space, consecrate your seed, visualize your harvest. The law is already in motion. Test it, and your life will be the living testimony of the power of a sacred, conscious daily planting plan. Chapter 4. The Offering Prayer, the Creative Word that Multiplies. Today I will speak to you about the most powerful secret ever revealed to the human heart. The word creates, multiplies, elevates, and transforms. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you are was first a word, not an empty word, but a word brought to life by faith. If you master the art of the offering prayer, you will have set in motion the infallible mechanism of multiplication in your life. Have you noticed how most people pray by asking, begging, pleading? They do not realize that in doing so, they place themselves mentally in the position of a beggar, of one who lacks, of one who depends on luck, of one who has no rights. Supplication perpetuates the sense of scarcity. The subconscious mind, which records everything and multiplies everything, responds only to image, emotion, and conviction. When you beg, you are telling your mind, I have nothing, I cannot, I depend on the compassion of an external power. Thus, even if you receive out of pity, you will never receive by law, and you will never activate the uninterrupted flow of abundance. In contrast, the offering prayer is the act of the conscious creator. The son who knows the father's treasure is inexhaustible, the person who recognizes their inheritance and activates it with words of power. Praying as an offering is not asking from lack. It is declaring from certainty. It is affirming, I give, I circulate, I sow. I know that the law responds by multiplying my good. What I give returns. I am a channel, not a reservoir, and the flow never stops. Active faith is energy that sets all the forces of the subconscious in motion. It is the key that transforms a prayer of words into a formula of creation. That is why every word must be charged with conviction, joy, and anticipatory gratitude. Affirmations repeated daily penetrate the invisible repository of the subconscious and fill it with the image of good until that image crystallizes in your external life. Let me illustrate with the case of a businessman whom the recession had brought to the brink of bankruptcy. For months he prayed, asking for help, begging for clients, fearing they would abandon him. But the more he begged, the more scarcity he experienced. One day he heard in one of my talks the difference between supplication and the affirmation of offering. You are not a beggar, I told him. Offer every morning a prayer of circulation, of anticipatory gratitude, of power. Affirm your inheritance. He began reciting each day in his office out loud the following prayer. Today I offer my work with joy. I circulate my talent, my time, and my treasure in the service of good. I declare that all I give returns multiplied. I am a channel of prosperity. The universe delights in rewarding me with generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you, for I know it is so, and it shall be so. The first week nothing extraordinary changed, but he persevered. In the second week, an old client reappeared. In the third week, an unexpected contract arrived. After 3 months, his company had doubled its income and restored financial peace. What was the difference? He asked. I replied, the difference is in attitude and in the word. You changed your inner vibration. Your subconscious responded to the offering prayer, and life had to respond with multiplication. Now I ask you to write and speak your own offering prayer. Do not wait until you are in need. Do not wait for necessity to push you to act. Today is the day to activate the law. Speak it with conviction, with joy, with a firm voice. If possible, record your prayer and listen to it before sleeping. The mind in that state is fertile ground, ready to multiply the seed. The offering prayer formula is simple and powerful. Declare your willingness to give. I offer this. Circulate what you have. I put my time, talent, and treasure in motion. Affirm the return. I know everything I give returns multiplied. Recognize that you are a channel. I am an instrument of good. I am a channel of life. Give thanks in advance. Thank you, for it is already done. Thank you, for I know it is so. Here is an example to start. Today I offer my time, my talent, and my treasure in the service of good. I circulate my energy, knowing that the law of return is perfect. All I give returns multiplied in health, in opportunities, in joy, and in peace. I am an inexhaustible channel of blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For I already receive, and it is already done. The key is anticipatory gratitude. One who gives thanks before seeing the fruit activates the most powerful law of the subconscious. Gratitude is the magnet that attracts the harvest, even before it becomes visible. Do not fall into the trap of the begging prayer. Do not plead, do not beg, do not act as if asking for alms from the universe. Walk with your head held high, speak your word with faith. The child does not ask, they claim and thank for their inheritance. The farmer does not beg the earth, they sow and give thanks in advance for the harvest. So must you act. Make the offering prayer your daily habit. Record your voice. Listen to it each night before sleep. Let your subconscious be filled with certainty, faith, and circulation. Each time you feel doubt or fear, repeat your prayer. Each time life seems slow to respond, declare your offering and gratitude with even greater firmness. I have seen thousands change their destiny with this simple act. Do it today, do it always. The law responds, the word creates, and faith multiplies. Offer, affirm, give thanks, and the harvest will be yours. Chapter 5. Gratitude in Advance, the secret to a certain harvest. Perhaps, dear reader, you have repeated your affirmations again and again, sown your mental tithes, prayed, visualized, and yet you feel that the fruit takes time to manifest. You wonder why, despite your sowing, the harvest seems delayed. Today I will reveal a secret that transforms waiting into a miracle, hope into certainty, and longing into reality. That secret is gratitude in advance, the blessing of the seed before seeing the fruit, the praise for the invisible, as if it were already in your hands. Most people give thanks only when the harvest is visible, when the check has arrived, when the pain has disappeared, when the door has opened. But that is second-hand gratitude, reactive gratitude, a gratitude little different from mere relief. That gratitude comes late. It does not move the law. It does not create anything new. It is merely the echo of a miracle, accomplished by the faith of someone who knew how to give thanks in advance. The true key, the silent engine of abundance, is gratitude in advance. Thank before seeing, bless before touching, sing before harvesting. That is the language the subconscious understands. That is the language of faith that mobilizes the entire universe in your favor. Imagine yourself as a sower. You have prepared the soil, planted the best seed, watered and cared for the field, and you know that the law of nature will do its part. You do not doubt. You do not wake up each morning to dig up the seed to see if it has sprouted. You do not lament. You do not protest the rain. You do not demand daily proof that the miracle is happening beneath the surface. What does the good sower do? They give thanks. They wake up with gratitude, walk the field with confidence, bless the soil, smile at the sun, receive the wind and the rain as allies. They know deep inside that the harvest is inevitable because they trust the law, because they have done their part. So must you act with your desires, your prayers, your affirmations. Gratitude in advance is evidence that you have sown in faith, not in doubt. I have seen this principle work miracles in the lives of men and women who seemed destined for lack. I remember the case of a Chicago merchant, a loyal listener to my radio program. He wrote me saying, "Dr. Murphy, I have been declaring prosperity for months, but customers are scarce, bills increase, and anxiety grows daily. What more can I do?" I replied, "Begin today by blessing your business. Give thanks for every customer, even if they just come to look. Give thanks for every bill, every coin, every product that leaves your hands. Wake up before opening the store and walk among the shelves, giving thanks out loud for the abundance you do not yet see. Before sleeping, thank for the day to come as if it were already the most prosperous in your history. Give thanks with such intensity that your heart beats with certainty. Do not ask for more. Bless, celebrate, and wait." A few weeks later, I received another letter, this time full of joy. "Doctor, the atmosphere has changed. My employees smile. Customers seem happier here. Sales are gradually increasing, and I myself have stopped fearing the future. Now I understand that gratitude in advance has opened an invisible door." Life, dear reader, always responds to the dominant feeling of your heart. If you give thanks only when the miracle is visible, your mind associates good with waiting and delay. If you give thanks in advance, your subconscious understands that the good is natural, already done and the cycle complete, and begins to find ways to manifest it. Do you want to experience the power of true gratitude? Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and mentally bring to yourself what you most desire. Restored health, a career opportunity, reconciliation, peace, the money you need, the answer you seek. Imagine with as much detail as possible that it is already in your hands. Feel the relief, the joy, the expansion of your soul, as if it were already a fact. Now, softly or aloud, simply say, "Thank you. Thank you, thank you, because it is already done. Thank you because the law responds. Thank you because my subconscious works in my favor. Thank you because I receive even before seeing." This is not about pretending, forcing, or giving empty gratitude. It is about anchoring within yourself the conviction that everything is well, even when your senses say otherwise. True gratitude springs from the recognition that you live in a universe of law, order, and abundance. When you give thanks for the invisible, you begin to see it in the visible world. The subconscious moves to fulfill the command. The mind opens to opportunities and fortuitous encounters. Circumstances shift in your favor, sometimes subtly, sometimes spectacularly. Never confuse forced gratitude with authentic gratitude. Some repeat words of thanks, while secretly cultivating impatience, doubt, or fear. That gratitude does not seed you. It is weeds in the field of the mind. Authentic gratitude is simple, confident, serene. It does not demand, it does not claim, it does not measure time. It flows like a river, renews each morning, and smiles at challenge. A woman wrote me from Mexico. "Doctor, at first it was hard to give thanks for what I could not yet see. I felt ridiculous, almost hypocritical, but I persisted because you recommended it. Gradually, gratitude stopped being a formula and became a feeling. I felt peace, and suddenly solutions began to arrive. A debt paid, a favorable diagnosis, an awaited call. Now I cannot stop giving thanks, even though my mind sometimes wants to return to worry." This is the path. Persist until gratitude flows naturally, like breathing. I assure you that 9 out of 10 radio listeners who practice gratitude in advance have seen surprising changes in their lives. A young man desperate to find a job began writing each night. "Thank you because I already have the ideal job. Thank you because I have already received the call. Thank you because I am useful and valued." Within 2 weeks, he was called for an interview he had barely remembered applying for. The door opened because his mind already inhabited the state of gratitude. Gratitude is a magnet. It attracts and retains good. Scientists have shown that a positive attitude modifies the energy field of the body and environment. The grateful radiate a vibration that others perceive, even if they cannot explain it. The ungrateful, on the other hand, repel opportunities, close doors, sow discord and loneliness. How can you anchor this feeling in your daily life? Keep it simple. Each morning before getting up, silently give thanks for the new day, for the air, for the opportunity to serve, to learn, to give and receive. During the day, whenever something good happens, however small, pause and give thanks. For the kind greeting, for the meal, for the call, for the work, for rest. Before sleeping, review the day and give thanks for all the good and all that is on the way. If something is pending, give thanks as if it is already resolved. Remember the parable of the 10 lepers. 10 were healed, but only 1 returned to give thanks. What happened? Jesus said, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? And to the one who gave thanks, he said, 'Rise, your faith has saved you.'" Do you see the principle? Everyone received the miracle, but only 1 activated the law of permanent return. Only 1 sealed their good with gratitude. The others received only the temporary. The grateful received fullness, continuity, blessing upon blessing. So it is with you. Receiving is not enough. You must seal the harvest with gratitude so that the good remains, so that the law continues to work, and so that what is received multiplies. Make gratitude in advance your atmosphere, your language, your first thought upon waking, and your last before sleeping. In the morning, declare, "Thank you because this day is full of blessings. Thank you because abundance flows to me from visible and invisible sources. Thank you because I am a channel, not a reservoir. Thank you because all I need has already been given to me during the night. Thank you for all I have received and for what is already on its way. Thank you because my mind is aligned with the law. Thank you because the harvest is certain." Do not forget to record each day 3 things for which you are grateful, even if they seem small or simple. The record is a materialized seed. What is written is fixed in the mind and becomes a command to the subconscious. If you practice this simple habit, you will soon see that gratitude ceases to be an exercise and becomes your second nature. Always remember, gratitude in advance is the invisible engine of every sure harvest. It is the key that opens the treasures of heaven and earth. It is the seal that preserves and multiplies every good received. Do not wait any longer to give thanks. Do not wait for the miracle to sing. Give thanks, bless, celebrate, and life will give you daily reasons to keep giving thanks. That is the law. That has been true for thousands. That will be true for you. Chapter 6, Circulation. The river of good never stagnates. Pause, reader, and look around you. Everything in nature, absolutely everything, is circulation. The air enters and exits your lungs. Blood flows through your veins. Rivers advance toward the sea. Sap rises through trees. All life obeys the supreme law of flow. Nothing is fixed, nothing is retained, nothing remains inert without paying a price. What does not circulate stagnates. What stagnates decays, what decays dies. So clear is this law. Yet modern man, forgetting this truth, falls into the trap of believing that he must hoard, retain, save and hide. He thinks security lies in accumulation, that good is like a treasure under lock and key. He does not understand that the universe rewards the channel, never the depository. The channel is the one who receives to give, who lets good flow, who multiplies by sharing. The depository is the one who accumulates, who does not trust the law, who fears scarcity and therefore closes the fist. That is the root cause of all lack, the mental resistance to circulation. I recall well the case of a businessman I met in my early years as a counselor. He was successful, owner of several businesses, known for his numerical skill, but also for his rigid and fearful character. Whenever the market seemed unstable, he cut salaries, cancelled investments, suspended donations, and closed his doors to every request for help. The money, which until then had flowed joyfully through his company, began to dwindle. Customers stopped coming. Employees sought work elsewhere. Creativity vanished. Eventually, the banks refused to finance him, and in a short time, prosperity disappeared. In a private conversation, he confessed, "Dr. Murphy, I did everything I thought prudent to protect what was mine, but the more I guarded, the more I lost. Why did this happen to me?" I replied, "Your mistake was blocking the river. The universe rewards the channel. You were a depository when you should have been a conduit. Just as water in a pond without outlets decays, while river water never stops renewing itself, so it is with good in human life. What is not given is lost. What is retained out of fear disappears. What is set in motion returns multiplied." And this is not only a spiritual truth, it is a physical and biological law. The human body is circulation. Blood that does not flow causes illness. Air that neither enters nor exits weakens even the healthiest lungs. Stagnant water breeds mosquitoes and disease, but the river, even the humblest, renews its waters and sustains life. Electricity that does not circulate does not light a lamp. Money that does not move generates no value. Love that is not expressed withers. Talent that is not shared rusts. Do you see, reader, that the law of flow is absolute and admits no exceptions? Let me tell you the story of Maria, a humble woman mother, who for years lived in scarcity and fear. She saved every penny, watched every expense, postponed her own dreams and those of her children for fear of having nothing. One day, listening to my radio program, she heard about the law of circulation. One phrase struck her: "Good that does not circulate dries up." She decided to put it into practice. She began with small actions. She shared bread with a needy neighbor, devoted time to helping at her church, gave a coat to someone who needed it more than she did. Soon she noticed that almost mysteriously, money stretched further. Problems resolved themselves, opportunities appeared, and peace reigned in her home. Maria wrote to me, "Dr. Murphy, now I know that circulation is the key to abundance. Every time fear tempts me, I remember the river. I am not a depository. I am a channel." Ask yourself now in silence and with honesty, where has your energy stagnated? In what area of your life are you acting as a depository rather than a channel? Do you withhold affection for fear of rejection, ideas for fear of criticism, time for fear of loneliness, money for fear of scarcity? Make an honest inventory. Wherever the river of your life has become a stagnant pond, there you must open the channel. How to release blocked flow? The first step is to recognize fear. Behind every stagnation is a belief of lack, insufficiency, or distrust in the law. Fear is the dam that blocks the passage of good. The second step is a small act of faith. Give, share, let go. Circulate what you have, however little. Life responds instantly to those who restore circulation. I have recommended a simple daily exercise. Give something valuable. It may be a word, a smile, a piece of advice, a coin, a minute of your time, a book, an encouraging call, a connection, a prayer. The magnitude does not matter. What matters is the act. The act breaks inertia, shatters the dam of fear, restores flow. Sometimes I receive letters asking, "Dr. Murphy, I give but do not receive. Why?" The answer is simple. They give yes, but with expectation, demanding immediate return. That is not circulation, it is mental barter. The law responds to the free giver, not the calculating one. The channel gives without concern for return because it knows that the return is certain. The depository gives trembling, eyes fixed on reward, and the law responds slowly because doubt is stagnation. Circulation is faith in action. When a farmer sows in spring, he does not demand the harvest the next day. He knows the process is perfect. The cycle of nature does not fail. Likewise, when you circulate your good, money, love, time, or talent, you must trust the law and celebrate abundance even if you do not see immediate results. I have witnessed true financial and emotional resurrections in people who, after years of stagnation, dared to open the channel. A woman without employment, after hearing me speak about the channel and the depository, began serving in community kitchens, teaching for free, sharing her knowledge. Within weeks, a friend recommended her for a position better than she had ever imagined. A businessman, devastated by bankruptcy, decided to help other struggling entrepreneurs for free. A few months later, an unexpected opportunity allowed him to recover and surpass his losses. Circulation is the law of everyday miracles. Do not forget the analogy of the river, the pond, and drought. The river, always flowing, never fears drought because it is an open channel to the sea and the rain. The pond, for fear of losing a drop, ends up covered in weeds devoid of life, devoured by the slightest drought. So it is with the human soul. The more it circulates, the more it receives. Life does not reward fear. It rewards faith in action. Today you can begin to restore circulation in any stagnant area. Perform a small act, share something valuable, open a channel, bless what you have, and let it flow. Do not fear. The law never fails. Circulation is your guarantee of abundance, peace, and perpetual joy. From this moment on, be a channel, not a depository. The river of good never stagnates, and in its current flows eternal life. Chapter 7. Recording your harvest, account for your miracles. Do you know, reader, that the human mind is like a fertile field where recognized fruits flourish and forgotten ones wither? Just as a farmer counts the ears of grain and celebrates every kernel collected at the end of the day, so must you count and celebrate your harvests, no matter how small. What is not recognized fades away. The power of consciously recording your blessings is one of the greatest secrets for maintaining and multiplying the flow of good in your life. A person who does not acknowledge their miracles lives like a spiritual beggar, asking, pleading, and yet unable to see the abundance that already surrounds them. Have you noticed how many pray, ask, declare, yet when the answer comes, they overlook it or attribute it to chance? Such an attitude closes the channel, extinguishes enthusiasm, and sows doubt. In contrast, the one who keeps a harvest journal, who writes down and celebrates each blessing, each return, each miracle, no matter how small, keeps the door of abundance open and reinforces in the subconscious mind the certainty that the law works. Today I invite you to begin your own living journal of miracles. This is not superstition, nor a mere exercise in gratitude. It is a powerful tool that cancels doubt, strengthens faith, and multiplies what is received. I recall the case of a single mother whose life seemed to deny her any help. Every day she told me about her struggles, putting food on the table, paying bills, supporting her children. For years she prayed for change, yet miracles seemed elusive. One day in a talk, I suggested she write down every small good that she received, not to wait for grand signs, but to recognize even the simplest blessings. She opened her notebook, a testimony before life itself. At first, she recorded modest things. Today, bread arrived at the house. A neighbor smiled at me. The children laughed together. But gradually the blessings grew. A job opportunity, unexpected help, solutions to old problems. She wrote to me, "Dr. Murphy, my life has changed. Now I see miracles every day. My mind no longer doubts, my heart celebrates. Keeping a record has made me aware of invisible wealth. Why is keeping a record so effective? The subconscious needs proof, internal evidence, living testimonies. When you notice and celebrate, you engrave in your mind the reality of the law. Whenever doubt arises, your journal is witness, your diary is judge, and faith is the result. The human mind easily forgets the good received and tends to focus only on shortages, debts, or what is missing. But when you make it a habit to record, to account for each harvest, You re-educate your attention, shift your perception, and become an active collaborator with the law. A practical example: I met a young woman suffering from low self-esteem and depression. She felt nothing good ever happened in her life. Every day was the same. I suggested she start a daily record without exception. On the first day, she noticed only, "Today the sun shone." On the second, "Today I received a kind greeting." Within a week, the list had grown. "Today I passed an exam." "Today I found money on the street." "Today my mother hugged me." After a month, the young woman was transformed. She told me, "I have discovered that my life is full of blessings. Now I look forward to each day, wondering what new miracle I will record." This is the power of testimony. What you recognize grows, what you ignore fades. Have you forgotten any blessings? Ask yourself now. Recall a moment when you sought help, relief, or a solution. The answer arrived, yet you took it for granted. You forgot to record, to celebrate, to share the harvest. Search your memory, and you will see you have received more than you realized. Life rewards the grateful, and the grateful are, above all, counters of miracles. It is important not only to record, but also to celebrate. Celebration is the spark that turns the fact into a seed, a smile, a prayer of gratitude, a kind comment, a gesture of recognition. Just as nature celebrates every sprouting flower, every falling rain, every ripening fruit, so must you celebrate each good received. Make your journal a ceremony. Every night before sleep, review your day and write down 3 blessings, no matter how small. Upon waking, give thanks for what you recorded and declare, "Today I receive even more. Today I celebrate. Today I share." I have seen entire families transform their destiny by practicing this simple art. In one listener's home, the mother established a harvest moment, where each family member shared one good thing from the day. At first it was difficult. The children resisted, the husband doubted, but within weeks, the atmosphere changed. They became a family of witnesses and celebrators. The result? Harmony, joy, love, and prosperity grew where before there had only been complaints and routine. If doubt ever assails your mind, if the law seems unresponsive, take your harvest book and review it. You will see that abundance is real, that the law works, that the mind obeys. Internal evidence is the best antidote against doubt. Personal testimony is the best defense against fear, and when you share your blessings, you multiply the good. By counting your miracles, you inspire others, strengthen your faith, and plant new seeds in your own subconscious. Do not fear sharing your harvest. Humility is not in hiding the good, but in recognizing that all comes from the law and that your role is to receive, give thanks, and share. Say each day with conviction, "I receive, I give thanks, I share." This is the prayer of acknowledgement, the seal that secures the good and prepares the way for more. Do not let a single day pass without accounting, celebrating, and sharing your miracles. The harvest book is your testimony, your evidence, your strength in the storm, and your joy in calm. Do it today, do it always. Abundance will never abandon you if you are a faithful recorder and celebrator of your blessings. The law affirms it, life proves it, you will receive it. Chapter 8. The Power of Testimonies, Living Proof of the Law. There exists an invisible force as real as electricity that spreads from mind to mind, from heart to heart. Every time a human being shares an experience of faith, transformation, or conscious miracle, that force is the testimony. Through decades of service and study of the mind, I have learned that a testimony is not merely the memory of a past event, nor a simple story told to impress others. A testimony is a living seed, a multiplying vibration, a collective prayer that awakens dormant faith both in the one who gives it and in the one who hears it. Just as a spark ignites a fire on a dark night, a positive testimony can ignite enthusiasm, renew hope, and move the will of someone who is tired, skeptical, or trapped in the routine of failure. Modern society is drowned in negative reports, fear-driven news, and statistics of scarcity. As a result, faith weakens, spirits falter, and the soul retreats. But those who read, listen to, and share testimonies of good activate a current of collective faith in their minds. Collective faith is far more powerful than isolated effort. It is like 1,000 candles together illuminating the darkest night. Allow me to share some true cases I have received from radio listeners and readers, which have been the greatest confirmation of the mental law. A 40-year-old woman, weary of routine and poverty, decided to apply the mental tithe not only with money, but with time and service. She devoted every morning to praying for her neighbors, every afternoon to reading to the children in her neighborhood, and every night to giving thanks in advance for a better life. Within a few months, a charitable organization invited her to lead a social program, a position that brought her not only a fair salary but recognition, peace, and the satisfaction of seeing her community transformed. When she shared her testimony on my program, dozens of people were inspired to follow her example, and in that city, a circle of mutual aid was born that continues to grow year after year. Is this not living proof that the law responds and that testimony is a seed that never dies? A businessman, broken and disillusioned after years of fruitless effort, listened to one of my lectures about circulation and recording his harvests. Almost without hope, he decided to dedicate 10 minutes daily to giving thanks for what he had, and to writing down even the smallest blessing, whether it was a shared cup of coffee or a friendly call. In 6 weeks, he obtained the credit necessary to restart his business. Within 6 months, he had not only paid off his debts but had doubled his income. In his letter of gratitude, he wrote, "I told my story to my wife, then to my employees, then to my friends. Each one, upon hearing my testimony, was inspired to try the law. Not only did I change, my entire environment changed. This is the contagious power of testimony. When you hear another declare, 'I did it, I overcame, I received,' your subconscious registers the possibility, faith is activated, and a mind that was once closed opens a small crack through which light enters. That is why, in my talks and writings, I never tire of inviting people to share their miracles, to write them down, to speak them aloud, to plant them in the consciousness of others. A genuine testimony, born from the heart, is much more than a story. It is living prayer, collective affirmation, a key that can open the door of another heart, still locked in fear or doubt. Do not confuse a real testimony with a decorative story. Some invent, exaggerate, or embellish their stories seeking admiration or approval. Such tales, though impressive, lack life. An authentic testimony needs no adornments. Truth resonates, the result is clear, and the soul perceives it. A woman wrote to me from Colombia, "Dr. Murphy, my story is not spectacular, but it is real. I learned to tithe my talents by helping others find work. I did not become rich, but I regained joy. My health improved and my family reunited. When I share my story with other mothers, they too begin to help, and the blessing multiplies." That is testimony, silent but powerful seed, bearing fruit in those who sow it and those who hear it. In my years of work, I have received thousands of letters, calls, and emails recounting experiences that confirm the law of the mental tithe. Some testimonies speak of unexpected money, others of physical healing, others of impossible reconciliations, others of opportunities opening where all seemed closed. Once, a university student on the verge of abandoning his studies due to lack of resources heard on my program the story of a man who, by giving only time and words of encouragement, obtained scholarships and opportunities without waiting. If he could, so can I, he thought. He dedicated himself to helping other students, shared books, organized study groups, and within weeks received news of a full scholarship. He wrote his testimony and shared it on the radio. That day, several more students decided to follow his example, and months later, they sent me even more success stories. This is how genuine testimony works. It is not only confirmation of the law for oneself, it is a collective seed, prayer in motion, real multiplication of good. Today I ask you to remember a testimony that touched your heart, a story that made you say, "If it was possible for them, it is possible for me too." Recall how you felt. Did your hope rise? Did your desire to try activate? That is the contagious power of a positive testimony. Do not keep your blessings to yourself. Do not silence the good you receive. By sharing it, you not only give thanks, you sow, multiply, and open doors for others. Every testimony read or heard strengthens faith, not just in the individual, but in the circle that receives it. I have seen entire families gather each night to share 3 miracles of the day. I have seen study groups dedicate the first hour to recount blessings before opening their books. I have seen companies transform their culture and environment when employees share achievements, gratitude, and unexpected solutions. Where there is testimony, there is circulation. Where there is circulation, there is multiplication. I urge you, reader, to make your own journey a source of inspiration. Do not say your story is small. Do not believe your miracles are insignificant. Every good, however humble, can be the seed of a great harvest in another's life. Take a notebook, a sheet of paper, or a recorder and write your testimony. Describe how the law has worked in your life. What changed when you applied the mental tithe? What doors opened when you trusted and circulated good? If you can, send me your story. Make it circulate in your family, your group, your community. Be a channel, not a reservoir, of testimonies. Remember, as this chapter closes, testimony is living prayer, a seed that never dies, a universal multiplier of faith and good. Are you ready to be a witness and a channel? Then begin today. Count, celebrate, and share your miracle. By doing so, you multiply your own harvest and make miracles possible in the lives of many others. This is how the law is proven, lived, and multiplied. This is how faith spreads and abundance expands. Today, the next testimony could be yours. Chapter 9. Mental Blockages, Roots, Symptoms, and Liberation. Pause for a moment and observe, reader, the flow of life as it manifests in nature. A river that flows without rest, the air circulating through your lungs, the blood moving through every cell, the sap rising through the trunk of trees. In all these movements beats a law. Constant flow is a sign of life. Retention is the precursor to disease, stagnation, and death. Yet many men and women live without realizing that their own mind, for hidden or ignored reasons, can become the dam that stops the harvest, the wall that blocks the flow of good, the invisible knot that strangles abundance. Today, I want to show you clearly how mental blockages operate. I want to help you discover their roots, recognize their symptoms, unmask their disguise so that you can undo them and finally see abundance flow freely in your life. There is no greater mystery than the mind, but there is also no more dangerous prison. The person who learns to diagnose and release their own inner knots possesses a freedom greater than that of the richest person in the world. Where do blockages come from? Many arise in childhood, a negative word, ridicule, punishment, or an unprocessed failure. Others emerge in youth, disappointments, comparisons, messages of limitation. Some slip in during adulthood, losses, betrayals, painful or fearful experiences. The mind, which records everything, accumulates these impressions. When the accumulation reaches a critical mass, the channel becomes obstructed, the flow of good diminishes, and the harvest is delayed or diverted. Visible symptoms of a mental blockage include repeated failures, inability to retain good, the feeling that luck is always against you, constant fear of loss, inability to enjoy prosperity, self-sabotage of opportunities, persistent illness or relationships that never heal. There are also invisible, subtler symptoms, yet equally powerful. Unexplained anxiety, feelings of unworthiness. I don't deserve this, I'm not enough. Hidden superstitions. If something good happens, something bad will follow. Guilt over past mistakes, unexpressed resentment, fear of criticism, panic at change, habits of self-devaluation. If these symptoms are not recognized and dissolved, they become repetitive patterns. No matter how much you pray, work, or visualize, a subconscious filled with these knots simply does not allow the good to pass. Allow me to illustrate with a real case. A woman, a mother, came to my consultation after years of struggling with scarcity and illness. She had tried everything: tithes, affirmations, prayer, visualization, service to others. Yet nothing seemed to work long-term. During our conversation, old tears emerged, deep resentment toward her father, who had despised and humiliated her as a child. She carried immense guilt for not having forgiven him before his death. I explained, "Your conscious mind wants good, but your subconscious, still tied to resentment and guilt, does not allow the harvest to pass. Desire alone is not enough. You must free the channel. Forgiveness is the key that dissolves the most stubborn blockage." We work together on the practice of forgiveness, not as a forced feeling, but as a daily decision, a repeated act. I release, I let go, I free myself. Gradually, she felt relief, rest, a new lightness. Within weeks, her health improved. Her relationship with her children changed. Her finances began to prosper. The channel cleared, and the flow of good returned. This case is just one example among thousands. No one can harvest with a blocked channel. Do you want to diagnose your own blockages? Pause and ask yourself, is there someone I haven't forgiven? Even if I say I have, do I still carry guilt for a past mistake? Deep down, do I fear being happy or prosperous? Do I believe good is for others, not for me? Do I feel resentment toward those who have prospered? Do I have habits of self-criticism, devaluation, or harsh self-expectation? Do I feel that if I receive something good, I must pay for it later? Do I fear change, the new, or letting go of control? Every sincere answer is a clue to the knot you need to untie. Forgiveness is the ultimate unblocker. I never tire of repeating it. Forgiving is not forgetting, nor approving injustice, nor denying pain. Forgiving is freeing the mind from the prison of the past. It is stopping the flow of energy to error. It is opening the channel so that good can flow again. I've seen people cling for years to a wound, a betrayal, an injustice. Only when they decide to release resentment, like dropping a stone into a river, do they feel peace, health, and prosperity return. Sometimes the hardest forgiveness is the one you must give yourself. No one has lived without mistakes. No one has always acted according to their highest ideals. But the universe does not punish. It simply responds to your inner state. When you forgive yourself, you open the door to greater good. No past error or ancient wound can block the present if you sincerely choose to release it. I suggest a liberation exercise. Find a quiet place, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Visualize your mind as a channel of light. Imagine each thought of resentment, guilt, fear, or unworthiness as a stone in your stream. Say aloud or mentally, I am free. My channel is clear. I forgive and release. I let go and receive good. My mind is a conduit of blessing. My past has no power over my present. Today, I open the door to abundance. Practice this daily as often as needed until you feel relief, until you notice the river flowing again. Record your progress. Note every moment of peace, every small sign of improvement, every miracle following your release. I have witnessed true transformations when blockages are dissolved. A man who could never maintain a job discovered that, as a child, he had believed, because of his father's words, that he would never amount to anything. For years, that phrase was the largest stone in his stream. By recognizing it and practicing forgiveness and self-affirmation, his career changed within months. Another case. A young woman feared success, believing deep down she must pay for every joy. Only when she released that belief, allowing herself to receive without guilt, did new opportunities begin to flow. Remember, no past mistake can block the channel of the present if you choose today to release your mind. You are not your mistakes, you are not your pain, you are not your story. You are a channel of infinite good, always renewable, always available. End this chapter with a simple but powerful prayer. Today I release all guilt, all resentment, all beliefs of unworthiness. Today I forgive and I forgive myself. Today I clear my channel. Good flows to me, and I receive it with gratitude. So it is. So it shall be. Make forgiveness and liberation your daily habit. There is no greater power than a clean mind and an open channel. Just as the river always finds the sea, so your good will find you when you remove the obstacles. Today is the day of your liberation. The harvest is already on its way. Chapter 10. The law of return. Nothing is lost, everything multiplies. Life is mathematics, and the mind is its most precise laboratory. Every seed you plant, every thought you hold, every word you speak, and every act you perform initiates a movement in the invisible world. And that movement, by inexorable law, returns to you multiplied, according to the nature and quality of what you have sown. This is the law of return, the infallible law that governs your destiny. Even if you ignore it, doubt it, or try to escape its consequences, nothing is lost. Everything transforms and returns. Just as a wheat seed never produces thorns and an apple seed never gives pears, everything you emit through thought and action returns according to its kind. Perhaps you have heard of the principle of cause and effect in science. To every action corresponds an equal and opposite reaction, says physics. But this truth, as ancient as the universe, has a deeper scope in the realm of the mind. Thought is the cause, life is the field, and the results you experience each day are the effect. There is no chance, no luck, no injustice in the mathematics of the mind. What you sow, you reap. What you give, you receive. What you declare, you manifest. Jesus expressed it simply and powerfully. With the measure you measure, it shall be measured to you. Every seed bears fruit according to its kind. Could the Bible be clearer about the law of return? Does not science confirm it when studying energy, matter, and life itself? Let me tell you the story of a man who spent years sowing words of discouragement, criticism, and doubt. Day after day, he lamented his luck, spoke ill of his superiors, and expected failure, announcing it in advance. Years later, he sought me out, asking why, despite his talent, life denied him promotion, recognition, and prosperity. I explained, "You have been diligent in your work, but careless in your sowing. Your mind, your words, and your actions have sown discouragement, and life can only return to you what you sent first. Your return cannot differ from your cause." Understanding this, he decided to reprogram his sowing. He began declaring good, recognizing the merits of his colleagues, expecting positive results. The change was not immediate, but with consistency, the atmosphere improved and eventually the opportunity he awaited arrived. His testimony confirmed that the law of return never fails. It only waits for us to change the seed. Do you want to foresee and design your harvest? Wishing for good is not enough. You must program it consciously. The mind is the workshop of creation. Each morning, before the day begins, mentally plant the type of return you desire. Declare, "Today I sow peace, therefore I will reap harmony. Today I sow generosity, therefore I will reap abundance. Today I sow joy, therefore I will reap happiness and well-being. Today I sow understanding, therefore I will reap good relationships." This is not superstition. It is scientific programming of the subconscious. The energy of your thoughts creates forms, and those forms seek to manifest in your experience. Life returns not only what you think superficially, but also what you sustain and nurture with feeling, repetition, and conviction. Always remember, the law of return multiplies, it does not merely add. If you plant a single corn kernel, you will receive a full cob. If you speak a word of kindness, that kindness returns as unexpected help, open doors, and helping hands. But if you sow criticism, impatience, or fear, the same will return to your life, often amplified. For this reason, it is vital to monitor your daily sowing. If you notice your life filling with bitter harvests, repeated problems, scarcity, bad relationships, or misfortune, do not blame the law. Reprogram your sowing. Do it consciously, patiently, persistently. Do not try to harvest fruit without first changing the seed. Some, upon discovering this law, despair, thinking that if they have sown poorly for years, there is no hope. I tell you, as long as there is life, there is the possibility of new sowing. The soil of the subconscious is always ready to receive a better seed. Here is a practical formula to calculate and guide your mental return. Each night, review your day and make a simple inventory. Which thoughts dominated today? Which words did I repeat most? Which emotions did I feed? With what frequency? With what intensity? What actions, even small, were my sowing today? Then write your conscious sowing prayer. Today I leave behind every seed of fear, criticism, and doubt. Today I sow love, gratitude, faith, joy, and generosity. I know the universe multiplies my sowing and returns it to me according to the law. Today I bless my sowing and my harvest. No experience is lost. No act vanishes into the void. Everything returns. Everything transforms. Everything finds its course. Sometimes life seems slow in returning. People have said, "I helped many, but when I needed help, no one responded. The law failed." To these people, I explain that the law does not fail. The return may come through other channels at another time through different people. The help you give may not return from the same source, but it always returns, and it multiplies. Allow me to share the testimony of a woman who for years sowed words of kindness and assistance in her community, though it seemed she received nothing in return. When she fell gravely ill, her neighbors and acquaintances, even some she barely remembered helping, organized collections, offered care and support, and she never lacked anything during her recovery. What seemed like a failed sowing became the greatest return of her life. This is how it always happens. Nothing is lost. Everything multiplies according to its nature. The law of return appears on every page of the Bible and in every experiment of modern science. Give, and it shall be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Energy is never destroyed. It only transforms. Jesus' word and the word of modern physicists are in perfect harmony. Today, take charge of your sowing. Consciously choose every thought, word, and act. Make your mind a fertile field, and your word a noble seed. Do not fear the harvest, because nothing is lost, everything returns and everything multiplies. Remember, the mathematics of the universe is perfect. Sow well, and you will reap abundantly. The law is on your side, and life always finds a way to return to you, multiplied, all that you have given. Try it today, try it always, the law of return never fails. Chapter 11. Automatic multiplication, the power of subconscious habit. Most people seek extraordinary results through sporadic actions. They expect abundant harvests from casual sowing. They desire health with occasional effort. They dream of mental and material wealth from isolated impulses of generosity. However, the universe responds not to sporadic acts, but to constant habits, to repeated currents that carve deep channels in the subconscious and set automatic multiplication in motion. Few things are as powerful as programming the subconscious. What you do with faith and gratitude, again and again without tension or anxious expectation, eventually engraves itself in your inner reservoir. Once recorded, it begins to operate automatically, effortlessly, like breathing, the heartbeat, or the flow of blood. This is why the great masters of all time emphasize the value of conscious repetition. Everything you repeat with emotion and conviction becomes law for you, and subconscious law never fails. It multiplies, accelerates, sustains, and expands what it receives, and it does so without asking. Let me illustrate this principle with the example of an ordinary man, a humble worker who attended my lectures many years ago. His life had been a sequence of highs and lows, periods of work and unemployment, abundance and scarcity, faith and doubt. He said, "When I remember, I tithe my time and money and things improve, but then I forget, return to routine, and the blessing seems to fade." One day I asked him, "Do you breathe only when you remember, only when you feel you need it? Or do you breathe always without thinking, without forcing, without asking your body for permission?" He looked at me in surprise, and in that instant he understood the key. Mental tithing must become as natural as breathing. He then began a simple but powerful nightly practice. Each night before sleep, he dedicated a few minutes to gratitude for the abundance of that day, however small. In a low voice he repeated, "Tomorrow I tithe my time, my talent, my treasure. Tomorrow I am a channel, not a reservoir. I sow, I circulate, I receive." Upon waking, the first thing he did was repeat the same affirmation. He forced nothing, sought no immediate results, doubted nothing. He merely repeated with gratitude and faith, allowing the subconscious to do its work. Within a few weeks, the change was remarkable. He told me, "Without realizing it, I start the day thinking about how to serve, how to circulate, how to give. I no longer have to remember it with effort. It is part of me. I feel joy in giving, confidence in receiving, and life flows without the old ups and downs." This is how the subconscious habit works. What once required effort becomes joy. What once was duty becomes privilege. What once was sacrifice becomes a source of power. The subconscious mind is like a secret garden. Every repeated thought, word, and act is a seed that sooner or later germinates. If you habitually sow fear, doubt, or scarcity, those will be your fruits. If you sow faith, gratitude, and circulation every day, your harvest will be automatic, constant, abundant. Do not worry if it feels forced at first. Every new habit requires an adaptation period. A child learns to walk through repetition. A musician masters an instrument through daily practice. A gardener knows the field after many seasons of sowing and harvesting. I ask you now, do you already breathe prosperity? Have you become an automatic channel for good, or do you still depend on occasional impulses, fleeting enthusiasm? The difference between ordinary life and miraculous life lies in consolidated habit. The subconscious multiplies what it receives regularly, not what it receives sporadically. I will teach you a simple, foolproof daily routine to automate mental tithing. Upon waking, spend 2 minutes blessing the new day. Repeat mentally, "Today I am a channel of blessing. Today I set aside and circulate the best of my time, talent, and treasure. Today I sow with joy and receive multiplied with gratitude." During the day, whenever you receive something, a smile, a kind word, a payment, good news, express immediate gratitude and remember, what circulates returns. Before sleep, review your day and record 3 things you have given and 3 you have received. Visualize the continuous chain. I give, I receive, I thank, I circulate. Do this for 21 consecutive days. Modern psychology, mental science, and spiritual experience all agree. A habit is consolidated in 3 weeks of conscious practice. After that, you will see mental tithing operate automatically, effortlessly, and multiplication become natural, inevitable. You do not need iron willpower, only loving consistency. You do not need grand sacrifices, only small, repeated sowings with faith. The subconscious is your greatest ally, your most loyal servant. If you program it with gratitude, circulation, and abundance, it will automatically produce everything you need. I have known women and men who, after years of fruitless effort, transformed their destiny by making mental tithing a daily habit. They did not change the world. They changed their internal programming, and the world responded accordingly. Do you not see that the law of minimum effort and maximum return is written into nature? The root grows toward water gently. The seed opens without violence. Breathing occurs without thought. Thus, the subconscious mind multiplies everything consistently planted in it. Do not waste time seeking complicated formulas. Make mental tithing your second nature. Keep it simple, consistent, joyful. Life will do the rest. Automatic multiplication, perpetual return, endless abundance. This is the destiny of one who makes circulation and gratitude a subconscious habit. Repeat each night, like the sower blessing the soil before sleep. I am a channel. I sow with faith. I receive with joy. My subconscious multiplies and sustains my abundance. So it is. So it will be. Do it this way and miracles will become daily. Automatic multiplication will be on your side and prosperity will be as natural to you as breathing. Chapter 12. The Legacy of Mental Tithing. Abundance that transcends generations. When you reach the end of this path, you discover that true abundance is much more than the sum of your personal achievements, more than the well-being of a single day, more than the relief of a season of scarcity. The most valuable fruit of mental sowing does not end with an individual's biography. It becomes a legacy, an invisible current that flows through the years, settles in the family, renews the community, and over time can restore an entire nation. Faithful practice of mental tithing is a seed of abundance that never dies, an invisible and powerful inheritance that transcends your existence and brings light, strength, and peace to those who come after you. The law is clear and generous. Every good you sow with elevated intention, every act of circulation, every offering of your thought, your time, your talent, and your treasure leaves an indelible mark on the collective field of life. There is no sincere prayer, word of encouragement, act of service, or shared coin that is lost in the void. All returns to you multiplied, and part of that good becomes seed for your children, your grandchildren, your friends, your disciples, even for strangers who one day will reap the harvest you initiated. In my long experience, I have seen entire families restored when a single member decided to break the chain of fear, resentment, or scarcity and begin sowing day by day through mental tithing. I recall the case of a grandmother who, after years of hardship and suffering, understood the law of circulation and multiplication. She began teaching her children and grandchildren to set aside 1/10 of their time each day to bless, serve, pray, and give. At first, others did not understand. Some mocked her, others considered it useless. But the grandmother persisted, and in a few years the fruits became visible. Her children prospered, old conflicts were reconciled, health and peace returned to the home. The grandchildren, growing up, continued the habit they had learned. Years later, one of them founded a community aid organization that transformed the lives of hundreds of families in their city. Isn't this living proof that true inheritance is mental, spiritual, vibratory? Many parents worry about leaving material wealth to their children, and that is good. But I assure you that no treasure is as lasting as mental sowing, no legacy as secure as the example of an open channel, no investment as fruitful as teaching those you love the law of circulation and return. The primary duty of the mental sower is to share knowledge, not hoard it. Just as the good farmer teaches his children the art of sowing and harvesting, so must you teach yours to circulate good, to give without fear, to bless before receiving. to record every harvest, to forgive and clear the channel, to testify and celebrate the law in action. Do not underestimate the power of a conversation, a shared reading, a family prayer, or a daily routine that includes gratitude, generosity, and blessing. Children who grow up in an environment of conscious circulation, recognition of miracles, and unwavering faith in the law become adults capable of facing life with confidence, creating opportunities where others see limits, restoring what is lost, and guiding others with wisdom. Good never dies. What you give today returns tomorrow, and what returns multiplies to bless others. This is how the law of generation and multiplication works. No good is lost. Every sincere act, every elevated thought, every offering of love is an eternal seed. The Bible itself speaks of blessings reaching 1,000 generations. Who are you to doubt the power of your sowing? History is full of examples of families, businesses, communities, and nations that changed their destiny because one of their members dared to believe, to give, to forgive, to celebrate return, and to share their testimony. As you close this chapter, I urge you to establish your own circle of mental sowing. Gather your family, friends, co-workers, or community. Begin a weekly practice of collective gratitude, harvest recording, prayer of offering, and circulation of good. Make your home, group, or workplace a fertile field where the law of mental tithing can operate freely. Do not fear the disbelief of others. Your example alone is enough to ignite the spark. Remember that every transformation begins in one person and spreads like sacred fire, like the current of a river that never stops. I want to leave you with a final summary to engrave in your mind, repeat every morning, and teach to your loved ones. Remember these truths. Life responds to mental sowing, and every harvest begins in thought. An open channel never lacks. A closed reservoir lives in scarcity. What you give returns multiplied. What you withhold out of fear is lost. Forgiveness clears the channel. Anticipated gratitude accelerates the harvest. Personal and shared testimony multiplies faith and good. Conscious habit becomes automatic multiplication. Your legacy is your sowing, your inheritance, the law you teach and live. No past error can nullify today's harvest if you open the channel and sow with faith. I leave upon you a final blessing, both prayer and prophecy. May your sowing be abundant, your harvest infinite, and your testimony eternal. May the good you put into circulation today return multiplied, not only to you but to your children and your children's children. May your word be a living seed, and your example the light that guides generations. Make your life a fountain, not a pond, a channel, not a reservoir. And when your time comes to depart, leave in the earth the furrow of abundance and the mark of multiplied love. So it is, so it shall be. And now, reader, share this knowledge. Do not hoard, hide, or limit it to your own field. Let the law circulate. Bring the good news to those who await it without knowing it. Your legacy begins today, and abundance will have no end.